or is it someone else's? So that's a really powerful lesson for a parent or a child.
So we've titled this one, Guiding the Guide's Energy.
Yeah.
And so
look, we're not aware. Yeah, take her, Jenny.
Yeah, what question came up was for her, if you're not physically capable of staying high vibe, what do you do when someone comes into your energy with a low vibe? And how do you protect your energy when people are in a different vibe that would want to bring you down? And so her awareness was, I can let them be them, and I can be me. And that was the way she processed it and how she saw it. And she was still seeking wisdom of, what can I do as I'm taking in all these energies from other people? So anyone have any insights on that one?
Well, with her, I would talk about the impact of reflection and mirroring, and that our bodies do that through our mirror neurons. So you don't necessarily take in the energy, but you reflect it with your own. So there are all these reflections that take place, and in that reflection, you're building something new. Right? Because then it's more than the sum of parts, as you like to say, Jenny.
Yes, thank you for saying that mirror thing, because we did have a discussion about the mirror. And another awareness that came to this teenager was, when I came to work in a good vibe, I had good vibe customers.
Yep.
And so I noticed another employee who was not so high vibe seemed to get the tough customers. And so it was her desire to help bring up that other cashier. So we can influence people, but you can't raise someone from super low negative to really, really high. And so the goal isn't that. The goal is just to be better, raise it up a little. And also, like you said, to just mirror.
Yeah. And now, it's interesting because what I'm catching on to is that we talk about raising somebody else's vibration, but I think it's more that we provide the space for them to do that.
Thank you. Yeah. Because you can't really raise anyone's, they have to choose to raise.
Yeah.
And then back to the insight of, they can be them, and I can choose to not let it affect me.
That's right. That's right. And when you choose that, then you demonstrate something in doing that. You
Absolutely.
demonstrate that you can keep your vibration going. And in that, you're demonstrating how strong it can be.
Yeah. And the comment was, giving another human what they want, someone to hear them. And everyone wants to be heard.
That's right.
And so even if they are low vibe, acknowledging that they are where they are is a gift.
Exactly.
But jumping into that vibe with them isn't necessarily helpful to anyone. Which was the pattern. That there's a difference between empathy and allowing someone to feel what they're feeling, and sympathy, feeling it with them. And I think that's a challenge that empaths have. And when they feel things, they don't necessarily, it's not necessarily their own feeling. So I'd love for you or any of you to share what your belief is with empaths. Are we all empaths, but we just don't know it? Or are there some that are more inclined to it? Is it something that's innate to everyone, but some see it as only to some? What's your take on it?
I think we're all very individual on that level. Just like with anything else. And for some people, that's very palpable. For others, it's less so. And even with the ones that are palpable, then how do you develop it as a skill so that you can use it to its best benefit without you becoming exhausted in the process of doing them? Jesse says he just calls it genius. Empath as a skill have different uniqueness.
So I would think that everyone has the capacity to be compassionate and empathy.
Yes.
What is the fundamental?
Our bodies are built. Yeah, our bodies are built for that to develop. Although,
yeah, I believe it's innate too. It's innate too, but there's different degrees of it. It's kind of like temperature.
So it leads me to the next question. Compassion for others can be a skill that can be developed. And I think the one that's most in need today is self-compassion.
Yeah, I concur with that one too. It's something that requires practice, awareness and practice.
Yeah. And again, that is my truth. It's not necessarily everyone else's.
So Jesse's asking in the chat, what is the fundamental structure?
With compassion or empathy?
I don't know.
It's like around all of it. Like you're seeing, it's like, oh, there's your truth. And it's like, oh, so you have a truth. So the structure is, what do you want? You want your truth. How are you now, right? Is the truth of the now. And you're just looking at how the two compare.
Okay.
So
there's always a fundamental structure. Yes.
So with a need for self-compassion in the world is my truth. And so the current situation would be there's many that beat themselves up, that feel guilty and shame and emotions that keep them stuck or oscillating. And when they get to a point where they can live in their own skin and be grateful for who they are, that's the desired reality where they can live their genius.
Yeah.
That's the structure I see. Self-compassion.
So how do people get there?
Sometimes through a wobble, a big wobble. Sometimes through a guide who helps them see that how they're perceiving things isn't necessarily the only way to perceive things.
Yeah. And so what is it that you perceive as the most valuable? Because that's the only thing we're talking about.
To experience it.
There you go. And?
To practice it. To do it. Action.
And then what happens?
Through practice, it becomes a new habit.
And what do you say in your life when you see that new habit?
Well, I see it in progress right now.
Mhm.
There's a lightness and a joy, abundance of good feeling.
So there's a creation.
Yeah.
So there's the fundamental structure.
Exactly. Every time we're in a conversation with people, that's the fundamental structure. That's guiding guides. And it's so awesome to watch you guys do it.
Thank you.
Do it, and then we create it as we talk about it, right? We develop, we come up with acronyms, we come up with language that becomes ours that we're starting to share. Because the processes is in the language.
Mm,
Isn't that the greatest shortcut?
yes.
That is a multiplier. And what do? I guide and conduct value. For what? Clean oil, fresh water, and free electricity.
Those are well factors.
That's a focus.
Yeah, I know.
Rather than why not?
It's a big
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, day, whatever today, 70, whatever, 70, 79, 70, 79. Yeah. Day 79 today.
79.
Oh, that's exactly my wild fit day. That's cool.
Weird, huh? Synchronicity, Craig.
Definitely synchronistic. And you're seeing less of me. Really. Seeing less of-
Yeah, I don't know if I like it, but
my husband does.
yes, well, I love that then. I mean, then see, I can stop taking it personal then. Because I still will.
So we all do.
But it makes me happy that your husband is happy. Yes, that's what that's what we were here for. And then it'll change to something else, and that's what we're here for now. We just remind each other to look back and pay attention to what's important. That's what we're helping each other with.
Yes. Well, it was my obvious action for health and vitality, and it was the right step for me.
Hell yeah, and I'll judge the hell out of you for doing that. So
Well, that's you.
I know.
You be you.
See, I'm going to judge you for doing what you love. It's like you can give me permission to do that.
Of course.
Look at that forced permission. See that charge? Yeah, I can name it. Forced. I was forcing it. It was tiny. It was all in good intentions. It was all with happy, but it was like, when I'm seeing my charges, I notice it. And it's like, oh, I let that go. Why is it there? I ask the question, why is it there? Not because I need to know, but just so that it's awareness to let go of. It becomes an unconscious pattern.
Oh, it already is an unconscious pattern. It's become aware, or you become aware. So now it's a conscious pattern.
Which then becomes unconscious.
Yeah, we all have unconscious patterns. And then when they pop up and we have this little child that starts acting out, most of us think that's who we are.
Yeah, but when you update it, it goes back into the unconscious, Jenny.
Oh,
so
okay.
that you have it updated, right?
So the new one is the new update unconscious
Yeah.
behavior. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's an upgrade
Yeah.
when it becomes aware and you change it.
Yeah, so it's a new habit.
Hmm.
And you catch it in the language. You catch it in the communication. You catch it in the field as we learn to catch it for ourselves, first of all, as well as then catch it with others.
Yeah.
But it starts
In,
with awareness.
yeah, enlightenment is now the word.
Hmm.
Enlightened, as the world would call it. And the only way to do that is, oh, imagine what it would be like. Oh, why don't you have it? Yeah, what's in the way? Oh, and what's my obvious action? I mean, that is the only way to do what you want. Sorry, that is the simplest way to do it. Let's put it that way. That is the simplest way to do it. You can add everything else to it if you want to. And we need help with one another to know that it's possible, to know what is possible, to say like, oh, maybe that's my problem. Because it is your problem and you're not broken. And there's nothing that needs to be fixed. So fucking face it.
Well, your problem could also be your creation, right?
Yeah,
And
for sure.
some creations you're going to step into for that time, and others you're going to have to sweep up for another time, or because they're done.
Hmm.
And you carry the value of them. You carry the learning.
Which goes back to everything in your experience you've created. And you can create your future
Yes.
by what you choose now.
It is what we do.
I was just going to say, yeah,
And we're just not happy with how we're doing it. And everyone's looking for how to change it. And like, this is the way to change it.
Simple as ABC.
ABC. And when you learn it, you need less of me. Who wants to guide that shit? You know, it's like, oh yeah, pay for that. The less you see me, the more valuable it gets, is my intention.
the less you see what?
The less you see of me, the more valuable our sessions become.
Yeah.
That's my intention.
Yeah.
That means my value goes up and your costs go down.
Yeah.
So 30 minutes into our two 15-minute sections, what would you say this was all about? I'm loving it.
Mm. Collaboration and learning.
Nice. Awareness of being.
Structure
ABC structure, beautiful. Experiencing structure, yep.
and celebrating wins.
Yeah, living life authentically alive with other people. You know, it's like, oh, this is what I'm seeing. Oh, wow. Well, cool. Wanted to, like, if you want to talk, I want to share something from your working from yesterday. It was most of you. I worked with most of you yesterday. A little bit of an update of what I downloaded last night, a place to practice that. You guys can poke holes in it. It would be awesome to just hear it, what you hear, reflect it back to me. But it'll take me just a couple of minutes to gather it so that I can speak true numbers.
Okay. I need to mute my phone a bit to go get some food together.
Okay. Well, I'll be just a moment then. Allison, would you give a little recap of what we spoke about yesterday
Yes.
as a group? Yeah, yesterday the group, the session that we had yesterday, the 10 o'clock session, like that 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Like what we
Yeah.
learned from that, well, like what I spoke about, because like I'm going to give you an update around my situation that I was speaking about towards the end of that call.
So
With the agreements, the lawyers, the opportunity. This is clean oil, fresh water, free electricity, and working this agreement with this distributor. Yeah.
okay, so do you want me to from the beginning of the call, Jesse, through to the end?
Yeah, no, you don't. Yeah. Why don't you give just a quick overview of that whole call for you yesterday from your perspective?
Yeah. So from my perspective, initially when I came in, it was on the tail end of someone having processed emotions and thoughts for themselves and self-perception for them, of themselves. And there was more clarity, there was a lightness. And when I spoke to that, your comment then was that what had happened wasn't even your initial intention. And so the value of that was how we go into a space with intention and something different can happen, and it can be even more valuable or equally valuable. And your intention was to have the call be about yes and. So we were then sharing our yes and experiences and or offers that we had. And I'm sorry, but I can't remember what Ginny's was, although I think it was around parenting and the awareness again for her daughter around self-awareness and walking away from certain dynamics that were not serving her. And then I think mine was that I just felt like I was but I was able to uproot certain root structures in my foundation that needed to be replaced or shifted. And that was a very good experience for me. And I was then looking at, with curiosity, at what was going to come into my field and what I would work with alongside that replanting, as it were, alongside the transplanting. So, and then you spoke about the yes and in terms of working with being able to save carbon and greenhouse gases for oil companies, and that you had a baseline to work from, but you also had developed what you had, and that you could see that with that development, you could save almost double what was being saved at the moment, if not more. So, if I have to speak about it or try and speak to it in some format for me, it would be again going to the core of something with awareness And with awareness of using everything that we have available to us, which would be our awake state, then the unconscious body, which includes the pain body, and our capacity to access and be aligned with consciousness, and recognizing, although that wasn't spoken to, those words weren't used, it's kind of implied that that's what we go for all the time, is to work from there. So that's the core. And if that alignment and awareness is stable, then we can create a really functional and integral structure from there. Which I feel is pretty much what we did today again. I welcome any comments, additions, edits.
Wow, Allison. Oh my.
Great summary. Couldn't really
Yeah.
say it better.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Wonderful. All right. And so I was yeah, exactly it. And so I'm sitting in this space of like, okay, I need them to see something they can't see yet. I need their agreement to things. And it was still, I thought it was clear enough, but it was like, I just obviously still complex.
Mm.
And so it was like, all right. So it was pretty cool how, well, two new information shows up. New information shows up that the calculations don't even come close to adding up. Situation number one, situation urgent. Well, I'll say urgency number one, right? Urgency number one. So I find the numbers, and now I need to do a little bit more number crunching, of course, but in all reality, this is either going to be really good or really bad, depending on how this one announcement goes. And I don't know I don't know which company is going to make the announcement yet. But in all reality, it basically at least tripled the amount of work that I had planned on doing.
Oi.
3 times, and probably more closer to 5 times. With one announcement that all of a sudden people drop 30% of their revenue instantaneously, or carry the backlash of lying about their numbers. Again. And only those that have my offer ready to go will not suffer a 30% immediate decline in production, but they will also maintain it and hit their target that they said they've been doing. That sounds like a monopoly, doesn't it?
Yes.
Wow.
So I was trying to figure out, I was like, how the hell do I, like, I need them to sign this NDA because I need to give this strategy away, because there's certain things that I need from them. One, I need to make sure that this is the greenest product in the world for the next 5 years. If you're not, you need to be. And I need to have your commitment behind it that you're going to do that, because that's what I've got to build here. You know? And I said, at some point, you're going to figure out what I'm charging for this, and you're going to be a little upset probably. So I'm just going to reveal it now. And what I won't put on here is what we're going to make in terms of that when we triple the amount of wells. So that's what we're going to disclose and talk about. And I'd love to offer 5% of that company to them to sign this non-compete agreement about this strategy that involves their product, that has us all do really well, that no one is going to bring to them. So in all reality, that sounds a yes and what's next offer. And I keep getting a no, I'm not going to sign that. And so I was like thinking, how the hell can I like get this away? So here, I'd love to practice like how I can tell that to them in a world that we're working with, because the old structure that we're working with is a distributor where they're distributing their intellectual property, their product on a per gallon basis. I buy it, I turn around and I make it more valuable. Now I already have a product that I've been doing that with for 16 and a half years, three recessions, depressions, a negative stint of oil, COVID, and I still do work. And I've been doing it for 16 years. So I've done it 15,000 times already, and I have data for every one of them. I know how much oil is produced. When I put a gallon of my product in there, I know how many gallons of their product more they sell. And it's on the frame of about 5 times what they pay me for is what they make by selling more oil. So I can break that down into it costs me a gallon, it costs me this amount per gallon to make, it costs me this amount I sell it for, and it costs me this amount that they make on it. And I think that their product's better. So I can say, oh, this is how I think I can forecast how I think it's gonna work using their product. And then I'll lay out like, oh, this is the situation that we already have right now. And I figure I can do 600 wells a month, 600 wells a month using your product. Oh, that's 200 wells better than I had beforehand. And so it's like, great, I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that opportunity. Yeah, I'm going to say yes to that. And like I could cut it right there and I'd be fine and dandy. I'd be like, no problem. I'm going to make a bunch of money with that. They'll make a bunch of money. That'll play right here in Bakersfield, and we'll be able to retire very well with that. But you know me, I always like to go bigger. I always need to have more. And so, might as well, if you're going to do that, you might as well just continue it throughout the rest of the world.
Jesse, go big or go home.
So it's like, you might as well, if I make it here in this basin, I might as well duplicate it in every other basin. And the only way to do that is to figure out how to make this thing go really fast. And well, if I'm already going to do it in one area, I'm just going to duplicate that same process. I'm going to franchise that thing everywhere else, and everyone else along the way is going to make a whole bunch more money. That sounds like that sounds like a pretty good deal, because the groundwork's already been laid. So why not take it worldwide? And all I'm doing is asking for a partner to do that, to provide me the greenest fluid when I come against a problem that I need to solve. That's going to be a huge return for us. So I can charge the most amount of money and impact our customer the greatest, give them the biggest return. It's like I just looking for a partner that says, yes, and here's your product. Thank you. And I think we got a home run right here in our first one. I think our first one here is quite a big home run. And we've uncovered some pretty interesting things. So that's kind of my strategy. And so I'd love to hear what you guys heard in that.
Okay, I'll go. So what I heard was that you have a product, your product would complement another product. Together, those two products would do much more than double profits. It'll go up to 3 to 5 times more because of what it can produce and do. And you already have all the data available for people to be able to understand what the foundation is of what just your product does and what the other product does separately. And because of the way that information works, there's a logic that is easily understandable to people in the field, how those two products together would produce much more. What you have a bit of a pause with is that companies are still saying no. And so your challenge is to be able to find which one will say yes. And when you have one that says yes, you can pull in the second, the third, the fourth, fifth, sixth. Is that right?
No. How did
Okay.
that react? How did that trigger you? Yes, it was beautiful, my dear.
Well, I didn't have a trigger.
Number one, I celebrate that. Number two, I celebrate, would you have been able to use those words 2 months ago?
No.
Wow.
Because I wouldn't have had the focus.
Wow. Good job, Allison.
Well, you'd have had the resistance to the money too, to the value, to the numbers, to the business side of it, to the what's being offered. You would have had so much resistance to it, but look at how much you have let go of and stepped into your genius.
Yeah, but you've got to remember, Jesse, I mean, yes, thank you. Sorry. Yes, thank you. But also it's because this has a positive charge for me, this money, because it represents green oil, clean water, free electricity. Right?
Yes.
It's a big why.
Yeah,
money.
I'm very biased about that. That helps a lot.
Fundamental structure. It's all around us.
Mm.
It's how we as creators use it.
Mm. Oy.
Yeah, it's how we tap into the structure that's already there.
Yeah, that's a good point, Craig.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll add to that one of the new habits that I really want to have is that I always remember that it's there.
Yeah, isn't that a sweet one?
Say that again, please.
One of the new habits that I want to have is that I always remember that it's there. That the
Yes, thank
structure that I need is available. And even if I can't see it in that moment, to trust, bring in Annette's trust again, that it will show itself and I'll see it in time. in time, I mean, not in the space of time. I mean, I'll see it in time for me to be able to create something of service for others and myself.
In the perfect time, in the perfect way,
In the perfect order, right, Greg?
in the perfect order. Yeah, exactly.
That's big for me. I don't know that one can work all that easily. In fact, I know one can't work all that easily in big business with those concepts at this point in time.
Not yet, but it's coming.
Yes.
Transitions coming of all sorts.
Big realization I've had in the last week is that everything that you ever wanted to accomplish is already accomplished in that space, in that superconscious space. It's already complete.
Mm.
And our task is to bring that completeness into the 3D.
Which starts with being aware of it, that it's there, that, oh, what it is, so that we can begin to train ourselves to find it here. Yeah, the
Yes.
mind. And so you can see where the mind can get, in its evolution, can get sidetracked.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the transition we're speaking of. It's part of learning. It's evolution. Yeah, it's linguistic. Yeah, we're just
Yeah.
playing with language and structure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in form.
And form that provides a focus.
Right. Language is a kind of form.
Mhm.
It certainly is.
So
Yeah, yeah.
I'd say like a collection, collaboration, a gathering of the energies.
Yes,
with
yes.
equal intentions, equal intentions, that we're focusing on our geniuses, space for our geniuses, so that we can say yes, and what can we do next?
Yeah, what wants to come into form next?
Whatever we choose.
It's a mixture between what we choose and what we're aware of as in terms of what is needed. Hey, Janine. It's a very subtle play that takes place there.
Well, I was thinking choose and then allow.
Yes, yes, yes. Nice.
But if you just expect with no defining,
Exactly.
nebulous, there has to be some, lack of a better word, structure to the creation.
Yep. And that requires action.
Correct. Aligned action
Thank you.
Aligned with what?
with the intention.
Yeah.
And that it's aligned, that we come from an aligned position, right?
Yes. Out of
Yeah.
alignment, not out of ego.
Yeah.
To me, there's a cosmic intention that comes from the other side
Mm-hmm.
that we can tap into through the superconscious.
Yeah.
And that's and I want to align with that.
So how would we explain those words that some people would resist hearing in layman's terms to an 8-year-old?
Go for it, Jenny. See if you can do it.
When you're in your heart, what you know is true to you, then the universe will honor that.
What if you can't talk about universe?
I know, I thought about that as I was saying it. So I'm on the spot, so I'm wobbling, but okay. When you know something in your heart, things will align to support that.
That's good enough, I think. But it is
Or
still-
or did the universe put it there in the first place?
yeah, but you're right, Craig. But we're talking about translating this to people that don't understand this language.
If they're living in the 3D, they don't understand that. And that's why sometimes the language will lose people.
Yeah.
Well, there's an underlying charge to it that works against it. So you have to be aware of that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
a philosophy in the culture that says, I mean, it's abundant, it's a manifestation. It's all of these other modalities that say you don't have to do shit, just think about it, envision it, and do it. And here's what's still, hold on a second.
It's gotta, yeah.
Got a siren going by.
In the moment.
And at the core of it is still the power, whatever it is, seeking something out there.
That's the essence of it.
That's the essence. That's the underlying. That's a core. I can't see any deeper than that core.
What is seeking something out there?
Now, when you, Craig, when you speak to, when I let the cosmos, I look for it in the cosmos, or it's already created out there. It's like, or it just let it happen to you. It's like and it's like, that's what I'm searching for. To me, still sounds as if you're putting it out there and it's not from you.
I get it. Okay.
What did you get?
Hmm. Yeah, there's a sense of separation coming up around that.
Around what? I'm not following you.
Around out there. See, here's the thing that I'm learning. Okay. A few months ago, I landed on a personal true choice for me. And it went like this: I choose to live the desires of my heart. And I kind of had some resistance to it because it sounds like kind of a selfish thing, right? Or at least it did to me when it first hit me, but I've sat with it for a few months. And what I realize is that my superconscious, my own superconscious, and the cosmic superconscious are one and the same.
Mm.
And everything in my heart, in the depths of my heart, exactly matches the intention of the cosmic superconscious. But there's residue of old patterns and that kind of thing that obscure it.
Okay, but
that was-
that's great awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Really
Yeah.
good awareness. Because
And-
that's what we all walk with. We
Yeah.
all walk with that.
and
And we do until, sorry, Jenny,
oh, go ahead.
we do until the day we die, until our very last breath.
And that's what I was trying to say earlier about meeting people where they're at, because I realized when I was talking to some loved ones, I can use terms that they tune out and they don't get the message.
Yes.
And so when we use words that, I don't know, one would be super conscious, cosmic, all that stuff, they just don't hear what you have to say. And so it's a challenge to put words together that they can hear and meet them where they're at.
In our culture, definitely. In Western white culture, for sure. In Aboriginal cultures, it's no problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
In Africa, that's, it's no problem. In the First Nations communities, it's no problem. And in many of the Eastern countries, it's also no problem. So it depends. But this is where we're at now. Most of our market will be English, which go back to language, right?
Yeah.
But it's important that we do these discernments, I think, hugely. So
And I don't know why, but me too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So how about this, guys? We've all got our bodies, and we know now. I mean, I really must go back into getting the hard research on this, but we know that in terms of brain scans, there's a part of our brain that operates very separately and differently and doesn't get completely clouded by our unconscious, by the unconscious messaging. And by that, I mean literally the connections, the neural connections throughout the whole nervous system. So we always think about the brain as being the only place where the nervous system is. It's really important to remind people that it's not, and they get it very quickly. So we know from scans and those kinds of experiments that there's this part of our neurological functioning, which is a mystery. And I think people can quietly, in their own way, no matter how much of a hot dog CEO you are, you can relate to that. And when you think about when we do meditations, how sometimes I manage that we just stay in the body, And if we talk about the message that we want to get across in terms of being aligned, if we talk about it just in terms of how our bodies are designed, it's a little bit of a new language for them, but it's within their reach. So that's the idea that I've got around the languaging of this.
Nice.
I'm still trying to link, Jessie, how this, I mean, what we've talked about has been important for me and valuable for me, certainly, but now I'm still trying to think about how do we create the space for you to find the link to getting that first connection, getting that first agreement.
Maybe there isn't a link to that.
There isn't. I already got one.
Oh. What is?
Well, then I'd be giving it away.
Oh.
Well, I mean, for us, it would be going, well, for me, sorry, I can't say for us, sorry, guys. For me, it would be going into the field for it to be revealed. And that you set, and that you, with intention, you set, you welcome a surprise. Hell, maybe somebody from another country knows one of your buddies and somehow has heard of the product that you already have and has never spoken to you about it.
Yes, Anne?
Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden they get very interested and they're just in the right place at the right time to bring somebody else on board who will buy it, who will go for it, who will persuade Bakersfield to collaborate, if I've got that right.
Sure. And I already have the who it is. It is their choice if they're going to say yes or no, because I'm giving them the head start.
Okay.
I got to get the product first. And then when so here's how that plays out is that's going to be a whole nother way that people are going to be looking at business. Yeah. Not only from greenhouse gases, but they're also going to be looking at it from like, oh my goodness, how do you advise so well? Do you see? How do you train our people to do this so good for themselves? Because I'm just picked one tiny niche little market to do it, and then I'm teaching everyone else how to train it, how to lead it, how to guide it. Do you see that? And so we don't need to name the names of the top oil companies in the world that will be looking at us to help them in one domain. And if you're going to do one domain, you might as well help them in every domain, right? And they do have a relationship with their employees that they would really love to foster. I think we know how to do that, don't we?
Pretty good at it, I think.
All right. A little clearer.
Yes. That's the part we didn't see earlier.
If you're going to get in, you get all the way in.
My feet are wet. And now I'm in my ears.
So what have been our gold nuggets? Aimed at guiding the guide's energy.
My nuggets are the expanded understanding at 111 here of structure and how it pops up, and it's interesting to learn new ways of seeing it. And in regards to energy, for me, there's different ways of looking at that word. And when we talked about the oil industry, which has to do with energy in a different context than the energy of our human body that Allison brought up. And yet they're the same, but different. It's interesting. But as we want clean water, fuel, we need to clean our thinking and our own energetic body. And we do that by being aware that we're being charged through language and our action. Well, there's my nuggets.
Boom, drop the mic. Thank you, my dear.
A roll today, Jesse.
All in a day's work.
Yeah. I now feel like Grace did yesterday. I need to go take a walk.
I'm just overjoyed. I'm just overjoyed to have people around me that talk like this. Thank you, Jenny.
Text thread during our meeting that my daughter sent me that she saw a middle school friend that recognized her and came up to her. And she said, it's this positive energy attracting more good. I'm trying to be in my power. I am smiling at people. I feel great. This is truly being in my power. I feel the difference. I am not having to prove anything. I said, just be authentic. You're beautiful. And she said, thank you. I love you.
That is so beautiful, Jenny. My God, that's amazing.
No coincidence. I had a big breakthrough last night, and Jenny and her daughter had a huge breakthrough. I'm sure every one of you about the same time had some sort of a big uptick in your wave because we're all working together. The more we synchronizing, the more we working together, the more we're in it, the more aligning ourselves becomes with each other. It's the gold nugget that I pull out of today.
I'm very grateful for that. I really am. I shared something with Jenny yesterday. I started the day off with quite a bad migraine. And in the past, my method would be to surrender to it, do my homeopathics, do some physical points in the body, hold them, and then go to sleep. And I would wake up and it would be better. And I'd get through the day. The difference for me yesterday was she actually helped and was reading some stuff about the body and ties with emotions and things like that. We didn't do a process necessarily, hey, Jenny, it was just a sharing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I fell asleep after that. And when I spoke to her later in the day, I said to her, the difference for me in having that experience yesterday compared to the beginning of the year was that yesterday I still had my level of excitement about life.
Mm.
And when I was having those one day after another, I don't think I could say that there was an excitement about life.
That's
And that,
huge.
yeah, it's a massive big shift. And I'm quite convinced, and as Jessie says, for me, it's because there's been so much collaboration taking place, and a community has formed, and we're all influencing each other in a great way.
It's a generational, it's the knowledge, it's the learning, it's the doing and being aspect of it, of the 3D, you know.
Yeah.
It's really, you know, we have a whole history of where we've experienced a lot together that we can't remember. And so it's like as we do this, you can wedge into wedges that no one else can. And when we surrender, it's like that's how society, how it goes so fast. Because you're already using the river that's there. It's just the tension that people are in. So it's how do you speak to the opposite end of it? So one of the advantages that I did is I took, so me and this ABC, me and this company, ABC, were going to go or in an agreement back and forth. Like I want the right to be able to do this. And I want to, of course, as exclusive right, because I have a pretty big idea what I'm going to do. And then of course they want to be like, no, you should only get the territory that you have, that you have experience in. It's like, yeah, I agree with that 100%. But it's like, I need to talk to you about how I need to do this so that we both do really well. Yeah. But I can't give it away. And so we're like back and forth. And so what I had to do is I broke it down in the words that we can understand, because it is what the agreement is focused on. It is focused on a price per gallon and what we care about in that. And so I'm going to, I used the structure of what is the truth of now? Oh, here, boom, 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 boom. This is what I got. This is what I'm looking at. And it's like, with this, I would be completely great with the old language of that structure. I would be completely fine. And it's like, oh, so it's like, I know that's my truth. Is like, I can tell them, is like, I'm okay just staying here, and I don't even need to bring you this idea. But I'm going bigger, and I need a more commitment from you. But you're going to ask me how I'm going to do it, and I need to be able to explain it. So I broke it down all in a dollar per gallon basis. It was genius and simple. Because I say I buy it for X, I sell it for X, and then my customer turns around and sells it for X. Do you see the loop, the chain, the connection? It's just like ding, ding, ding. And it's a whole new way to look at value.
So you were speaking their language
That's right.
in terms they resonated with.
Well, I don't know yet, right? It's just like that's the genius is that it's there now. And it's like, oh, I have a really good idea how this is going to go now. And they're going to be like, yes. And I have a way that I can give them the limitations that we're all comfortable with. But I know at the end of the day, we're all going to say yes. And how can we get behind you? Because it's going to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
So then if I say that, then what am I worried about the NDA then? There's my wobble.
Ah,
I'm
and
worried
what's
about the NDA.
trust? Where do you need the trust? Or can you create the structure so the trust is built in? Uh-oh. Did I freeze? Oh, no.
No, you're good. Jim.
So I picked up on fear of missing out, that you have an idea, I'm going to be ABC, and you're going to take my idea and run with it, and I'm going to lose out. And you need an NDA so that they don't take your idea and you lose out.
Yep. And so then I think about, okay, like to do that, it would be like, oh, we would be replacing each other on something we've agreed with already, and know that we can draw boundaries. We can draw some gray intentions outside of the legal law of business.
Mm.
Hmm.
This is all complex and complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's all with the intention. It's like so the way is my intention is to move for 5 years with that. With them. So my good to show, what do I do to show trust? Yeah, that's what I do.
You got it.
Yeah. Lawyer's
do
not gonna
you-
like. Lawyer's not gonna like that one bit. And the lawyer is the other 50%.
Yeah.
When it's from the heart and there's clarity, then the law doesn't matter.
Oh, but it does. It's a
Here's
both
my.
and.
I still get what I want.
Mm.
It was just a perspective I couldn't see that was holding back, right? So it was still built into the structure. It was just I was blind to it. So it's still obvious of how it's to be structured. So let's see though, but it is around, yeah, because it gives them, because that's what it is. So.
Sounds like you got some clarity there.
Mhm.
Yeah, I did. Thank you. It just, yeah, it opened which is what creators do, right? We open space that we couldn't see it, and the beautiful move that we have is play it out in our mind. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, here's that call's coming up next. This is what I would do instead on our next call. How would he respond? Neutral is all I need.
Mm.
You see how I set my intention.
Yes.
What resistance do I have to that? What's in the way? Why can't I have it? Blah, da, 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 da. Yeah, I'll have some ideas, but that just adds color to it,
Mm-hmm.
It's just releasing some charge. And then we'll ask about it. Like, shoot, you get in there a little bit deeper, another place. There was a big one that let out the rest of it, but it was like couldn't get to it until there was someone needs to come unplug the bottom one, right? We all want to be that person. So we turn into vultures to do it. And so then it makes it, then it like adds the challenge to me, like, okay, so I have to pitch it in such a way that they won't say no. Because in all reality, I'm giving all my power away. But I'm not giving all my power away because they're going to have to find someone to deliver it. Which is still part of the structure, which is, here's the thing, is that they are more valuable for the first 2 years, and then I become more valuable. My offer, my structure. And so then the pressure becomes on them to develop, and it doesn't matter who's going fastest when I'm going the fastest. So they'll have a delivery problem if it's not me. And if I find a better product, then that's what happens, but that's not what I want. So I think Jenny, you were asking about that, or someone was asking about that earlier. It's like, how do you keep open the opportunities? Well, one, by focusing on one, and as things come in, you test it. Otherwise, you're just sitting there with nothing. You got to hold on to something. You're a beach ball otherwise, and you're just kicked around in everyone else's creation. And that's what happens every time we're giving our power away to anything. We're getting kicked around, and that's the majority of time in life.
And then what we really have to offer doesn't get manifested. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Because
very
you-
consciously and strategically managing your power.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes. That's interesting because I've been struggling with that too.
And there's that constant weaving between that point of where you are fully in your power and you are fully aligned, and you recognize the collaboration, the collaborative energy that is there with you. So it's that interplay that takes place again between yourself and what's around you and what's available in the universe.
Yeah, it's like you have to surrender a piece of your power in order to draw someone else in so that you can engage with them, or so that they can engage with you.
Yeah, that's, as Jesse said, making the space. Right?
There's a lot of levels to that.
Yeah. And that's where humility comes in for me. I find that
Right.
very useful then.
Because I hear there's a vulture in all of us, yeah,
Sure.
that wants to go in for the kill, if you will.
Yep.
I have this power, I have this process, delivery mechanism, you need me.
Yep.
To how can we both make this a win-win? So it's really tapping into the deep humanity of the other through your humility of being
In yours.
in yours. Yeah.
So it's appreciating, having excitement as well. The word rejoice kind of hovers around for me. And surrendering, to use your word, Craig.
What time is your meeting, Jesse?
Yeah. I don't know. When he got back to his desk, he's gonna give me a call.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like at the bottom of the hour. I was just trying to be
Thank you.
aware.
I need to go and get something to eat, guys. Thank you so much for this.
Yeah, I think I'm complete too.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Have a great afternoon.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Have a great
Yeah,
day.
this has been great, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye all.
Great contribution.